Welcome to Sintra Organic Farm. We want to take you all into a journey, farm to the table. Today we're picking fresh Nepali green leaves, cook on fire with Nepali spices. Please feel free to visit our farm to test other organic products grown by our family. Let's do it.
Hola, bon dia, Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show from Expats Portugal. Wasn't that a lovely video? Thank you so much, Druba and Sintra's farming family for that. Normally I'd show one of me 1,000 things to enjoy in Portugal short videos, which I will continue to make, but I had to show that because that, of course, is a wonderful thing to enjoy in Portugal. Going to see Druba and his family. I think it's an Airbnb there that he runs, and you will get to enjoy some Nepalese hospitality in Portugal, a fantastic combination. My guest this morning, I'm going to bring Jacinta on now from Little Brights Yoga. Good morning to you, Jacinta.
Good morning. Hello.
Are you well?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you.
Which part of Portugal do we find you in this morning?
I am in the Algarve. I am in Lagos.
In Lagos, fantastic. Although, of course, I don't know what your weather was like last night. It was frightening here, biblical. But you are in Lagos and you're here to talk about yoga for kids, basically. But I guess we can extend that a little bit, can't we? Because there's a lot of grown-ups here who I think might be interested in yoga as well. Can we talk to them about yoga?
Absolutely. Everyone is welcome today, yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think with the schools, of course, that's the big news. The schools closed overnight last night, from midnight last night. There will be more children at home. And this is an ideal opportunity for parents who are thinking, I do not know what to do with my children. They're not usually at home this much. Perfect solution this morning. Get them doing a bit of yoga. Yeah?
Yeah, bring them my way. Absolutely.
All right. And you go to littlebrights.co.uk. Don't do that yet, because then you won't hear the interview with Jacinta. But just make a note of that. Littlebrights.co.uk is where you can find out all about how Jacinta works teaching yoga to kids. We'd like to take a quick look at the weather, Jacinta, if we may. And we'll get a live weather report from you from the south in just a moment. But let's have a quick look at the weather, because the wind last night here in the Aveiro district of Portugal was extraordinary. It was frightening at times, but seems to have calmed down a bit this morning. I did leave the window of the studio open and the papers blown around when I came in. Mrs. M's stuff all over the floor, so I'll have to tidy that up before she comes in to do her shift later. Lisbon at the moment, that should be on your screen now. Yeah, that's perfect. Lisbon, 14 degrees. Currently with scattered clouds, rain forecast in the capital. And what we're looking for is when the weather's going to change and get better. It is noticeably milder, I have to say that. 18 degrees next week to look forward to, and a bit of sun. Up there in Porto, 14 degrees the high today, 11 degrees and broken clouds at the moment. And actually looking very rainy for days on end there. They're used to that in Porto, though. Central Portugal, sort of weather we get here, strangely. Although we're in the Aveiro district, we get Coimbra weather, and it's 14 degrees the high, 11 at the moment, overcast, and similar to Porto. Down in the south, actually, we'll come back to Jacinta to do that. But yeah, all over the country, rain seems to be forecast. This Christoph weather pattern, we seem to be feeling the full force of that, which is wreaking havoc around Europe at the moment, and flooding in my native UK. But yeah, lots of rain as far as the eye can see on this weather report. So Lagos, how is it this morning, Jacinta?
Absolutely beautiful. Blue skies, a little bit of cloud, but yeah, stunning. I can see the sea from my house.
Stop it! That's just not fair. That's not fair at all. We are all good on yesterday. We had a bit of a problem streaming. We're all good everywhere. In fact, people in America, Cohen Ferro said good morning, or 1 a.m. here in California. We'll catch some sleep and see the recording later. What I noticed is that you can make comments on when we have a YouTube video scheduled, people can start chatting before we go live, which is a great place to ask questions and so on, particularly for our North American folks who can't watch live necessarily, unless you're Hank Stalica, who stays up specially or gets up really early, whichever way you look at it, to join us. Bon dia from California, from Hank. How are you this morning, Hank? Lovely to have your company. Back to Portugal with Joel. Bon dia to you. To London, I think, certainly to the UK. Nick Steinman, bon dia. Great. Now I'm hungry. What was it I said that got him saying that? I'm a little bit hungry as well. What if we did a boxed wine last night for the first time, 5 litres. I found a very good pairing of that was a British fry-up, which I attempted straight after the wine tasting last night. That's the sort of trouble you get into at a wine tasting. Bon dia, alegria from Andre. Thank you, Andre. Hola, bon dia from Winchester. That would be a Winchester in the UK. It's amazing plotting his journey. The doc is back in the UK now. Hi, Jacinta from Hank.
Hi.
Hi, it's a hello from California to you, Jacinta. Bon dia, all good with YouTube this morning. Good to know, Jerry. Great to be in your company last night, Jerry, with the utilities special. There's so much to talk about with Portuguese utilities, and we did last night on the webinar. That'll be up on our YouTube channel later today. Good morning and thanks, man, from Druba. That was Druba, whose video we showed. Frying up the Nepalese greens. They looked delicious from your garden. Over fire in the garden, you alpha male, you Nepalese alpha male, Druba. Last night was so biblical, says Joel in Porto. I didn't have electricity for a couple of hours. Wow. That's how bad it was up in the north of Portugal. I love my yoga, says Penny. She's on a dry January. She's in the wine club, but she's on a dry January. She says she's in good shape for a bit of yoga. We're not going to be doing yoga this morning necessarily, but who knows? Jacinta might come back and lead a session at some point. Bon dia from Moscow, from Caroline. It's a sunny start here. All right, you Algarve people. It's a sunny start here in Cabanas de Tavira. My disposition. Very good, Paul. Stroll in the nearby countryside later. Fantastic. Gary, who led the wine tasting last night. Bon dia, amigos. Peggy, Prosecco Peggy's here also from the beautiful Algarve, she says. And she will be representing the Algarve as the Algarvenator as we go head-to-head to find out the best bit of Portugal. She stepped forward first. Other people have now cowered in the corner because they're afraid of Prosecco Peggy, I think. But if you want to represent your part of Portugal in those debates, let me know. North and Porto, Central, Alentejo, and what did I miss? Lisbon, of course. Lisbon and Tejo area. Bon dia from Fiona. We'll get talking to you in a minute, Jacinta. Sorry, but we have all these lovely people we need to say hello to. Catherine still celebrating, I think, her successful visa application for Portugal. I get up early. Bon dia from Catherine. Louise in the UK. Morning from sunny London. Wow, what a turnaround that is. Presidente Novo in Estados Unidos. Very good, Peggy. Those Portuguese classes are working well. And a little nod towards Joe Biden there. Absolutely. Can't go to bed without finishing my day with good morning from Portugal. That's brilliant. Thanks, Hank. Bon dia, Jacinta and Carl. Have you done your sun salutation yet? That's one for you. No, not yet.
I'm not. After this, I will.
Okay, all right. And maybe that's the bit of tuition us grown-ups can learn is how to do that. Well, that's maybe what we should go off and do to start our weekends. So what rating did the Sopiash get last night? Pretty much an all-round 4 out of 5. But if it was against other boxed wines, it could well be a 5 out of 5. And last comment for the time being, bon dia, sunny but damp here in Yorkshire. By gum, good morning to you, Bob, in Yorkshire there, God's own county. Makes a change, says Bob. So, how did you get to be in Portugal, first of all? And then, tell us about teaching yoga to kids online, Jacinta.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I've been coming to Lagos for 20 years. My family bought a house here 20 years ago. I came on a holiday here in September with some friends from England and just decided to stay. So it was an impromptu move into Portugal. And yeah, here I am. I've never looked back.
Yeah, fantastic. Sounds like you're in the right place then from the Portuguese point of view. And then you've been practicing presumably yoga for some time and thought, okay, I'm going to teach other people now. Yeah,
absolutely. I've been practicing for a bit over 10 years. And I worked in television production before that. And then I was producing videos. But I sort of knew that I wanted to work with children and I wanted to help people. And I think yoga is a really accessible way to improve your physical and mental well-being. And I retrained a couple of years ago and now here I am.
Brilliant. And do you think you will? I mean, I'm immediately thinking we've got a lot of expats. A certain demographic dominates this audience, and they're not kids. They're at the other end, possibly, of the spectrum. Retirees and aging folks, elders, the elders in the making, the wisdom people of the world. Do you fancy teaching older people as well? Because it'd be a good sort of market here.
I would love to. I'd love to.
Okay.
Yeah, anyone that fancies learning yoga, I'm really open to that. Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. So you basically are an all-round yoga teacher, but presumably this thing of Little Brights, working with kids, particularly suits lockdown and the way of teaching online. Or do you do that offline as well?
Well, I actually started in March in the UK. I went onto furlough because I couldn't do my job. And then I started teaching children. And then I've been teaching adults as well, but it's just quite busy trying to do everything. But yeah, I teach adults and kids, but I felt to reach out about Little Brights firstly, but yeah, both adults and kids.
Oh, very interesting. And so, okay, I think with other people might let us know on the Expats Portugal forum that they are certainly up for staying flexible, supple, and learning something that they can do every day, and have an online class in these times where we can only have an online class. So I'd love to talk to you about that, an Expats Portugal yoga group. Let us know, folks, if you're up for that. This could be a wonderful thing, another way of us all sort of connecting up and staying fit and well. We're not old, says Peggy. We are vintage. You're absolutely right. You could sense that I was trying to find the right words to express the sentiment there, Peggy. So for people who aren't familiar with yoga at all, what are the origins? What are the benefits? When we were talking before, you said you're from Glastonbury. Some people in America might like to know a little bit more about Glastonbury as well. So there's a connection there, isn't there? Yoga is seen as a very spiritual thing. Glastonbury is a very spiritual place. What are the benefits of yoga, first of all, and what is this sort of spiritual, mystic connection that seems to surround it?
Oh, okay, so many questions. So
sorry.
No, I can do this. So I'm from Glastonbury, and born and bred in Somerset, my love, and they call it the heart chakra of the world.
Oh yeah.
That's what they say. So we have 7 energy centers, and when we do yoga, we can open them and we can sort of refuel our system. And so Glastonbury is the heart chakra. So that's an interesting connection to yoga and spirituality. What was the other question?
But this is interesting because Portugal also, if we're talking about chakras, as nobody expected this morning that we would be talking about chakras, but I'm encouraging this fully. I understand that Portugal is a kind of chakra energy point as well, right? Globally, have you heard that as well?
I have actually. I didn't. It wasn't specifically a chakra, but a very energetic point. And I've met quite a few people since I've lived here. There's a big spiritual community, which is really beautiful. Yeah. And especially the Algarve, it's very international. So there's people from everywhere. But yeah, it's a very spiritual place, which I didn't know until recently.
Just drawn here. So that's good to know. Look, we've already got people who want to sign up. Yes, please, I would join you, says Shelley. Let's go for yoga. We're not old and never will be old if we do yoga. Oh, very good. That's an interesting take on it. And of course, it's a kind of optional extra, isn't it? The sort of spiritual side of yoga. There's a very functional side to it, isn't there, in terms of keeping fit? So tell us about some of those benefits of suppleness of body and fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I would describe yoga is that it's a practice of wholeness. So what yoga means, it means unity and yoga. And when we practice yoga, we practice asanas, which are the physical postures. We also practice pranayama, which is the breath work, and we meditate. So it has physical and spiritual. It's mind, body, spirit. It covers all of those bases, and it greatly improves both your physical and mental well-being. And this has also been scientifically proven, which I just love. And yeah, apparently, well, not apparently, it's known to originate in India around 5,000 years ago. There's loads of different types of yoga. loads of different types of practices. But it's especially great for things like high blood pressure, reducing stress. It's also been scientifically proven to help reduce stress, lower cholesterol. And I suffered with terrible back pain when I started yoga, and it's completely healed all of that. So it can help with aches and pains in the body. There's a plethora of health benefits.
That's fantastic. And so you're proof of the proof of the work then, and it's especially appropriate and great for you because you're a product of the product, if you like.
Absolutely, and that's why I felt inspired to share the gifts. I specifically teach Hatha yoga. That's why I felt so inspired to teach, well, predominantly children and adults. It's incredible how much your life can change.
Well, I was saying that to you because you asked me, I think, just before we came on air if I'd done yoga. And I forget, but it was a massive turning point in my life. I think I was about 30, when you have this possible Saturn return. I mean, I know some people struggle to believe that I'm over 30, but yes, this was a long time ago. And I was 30 and I was my astrological Saturn return, when you're doing a bit of soul searching and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I would go to a yoga class. And it was a bit weird because it was, the sort of demographic makeup of yoga classes. This was in Yorkshire, actually, funny enough, Bob. And I was the only bloke there, I think, and a youngish bloke at the time. And there were a lot of middle-aged women around me. And Carol Scanlon, I think her name was, from the British Wheel of Yoga, did this class. And it's one of those things I didn't quite know why I was there. I was just drawn to it. And you just kind of know, don't you? Like, it's not a rational process. It's something else at work. And I have to say, it opened up my mind. Through doing physical things, it opened up my mind and it really changed my life. So I'm very grateful to yoga myself. And I forget, what an important part it's played. And I feel a little bit sort of, not guilty exactly, but like, hold on a minute, it's given me so much value and benefit in that time of my life. And I haven't done it since. What's that all about? So it looks like we might be back in business because I'd love a yoga club, says Louise. Looks like we could have something on our hands here.
Yeah.
Why not? As an atheist, I'd be interested in it just for the fitness part, and that's absolutely okay, isn't it? You don't have, it's like I said, the spiritual side is an optional extra. I'd love to learn some yoga, says Fiona. All part of prioritizing more self-care, and especially useful at the moment if you're in lockdown and also to raise your spirits. Glastonbury. I'm isolating here at the home of two other fellow old Wellensians. Didn't know that's what you guys were called. That's Wales, I suppose, also in some. Glastonbury, very spiritual, but so is Portugal, says the doc. And I wonder if he would prescribe yoga to people. We go back to London. Pete is saying, I've been using yoga in my teaching offline and now online for the past 30 years, says Pete. All the top private schools in the UK use it to cope with exam stress. Well, there you go. There's a secret of the rich and privileged that is now available to everybody because Jacinta's doing it online. We've also quickly got a bon dia from Meryl and John Smith. Hi, you guys. I love yoga, says Lisa. This is fantastic. Yorkshire, yay, say Meryl and John. Gary over there in Alvagra. Serra de Alvazra, a place of history, mystery, legend, and spiritual cleansing in the gas bar. We might have yoga classes in the gas bar one day as well. I don't think you have to be in the woo part of it without getting the social and physical health benefits, says Hank. If you get something out of it, why not? Absolutely. I can fit a third yoga class in my week. So Penny, an absolute yoga fan, would take on a third class with us. And let's do an online class here sometime, says Lisa. So I think we're definitely in business. So on the matter of where you pitched it at the moment, littlebrights.co.uk, teaching yoga to kids. How have the kids responded? What's it like teaching a class of kids when it comes to something as potentially sort of serious as yoga? Or is it not like that?
I think when you teach children, from my experience of teaching children, it's all about making it fun in order to engage them. And I mean, I've taught quite a few children since March. And at times I've tried to teach them slightly more adult things and I just see them switch off. And so it's about making the adult postures and practices accessible to them. So, for example, all of the postures that I teach them are animal postures. And we'll pretend to be the animals, but we'll also do the postures. So it's about playing and having fun at the same time. And they're also getting physical and mental and spiritual benefits whilst having lots of fun.
Oh, that's so good. I'm looking forward to it even more now with this gang here, pretending to be animals as their way into it. Yoga is great, says Hank. The doc says, I would prescribe yoga since I've seen so many benefit, although I've not practiced it myself. Well, now's your chance, maybe, Doc. And you can come at it from several different angles, and it's just great. Take what works for you. Yeah, okay. And Lisa, she said, let's do an online class here sometime. So, I mean, the schools have shut. The parents are wondering what to do with their kids. This is working, is it? Teaching it online. You have space availability. You could be helping the children of the Portuguese nation at the moment.
Absolutely. So just before this lockdown, because I've got some space to teach in my house, I was luckily able to teach some kids here. But I'm still teaching clients from the UK, so that's and it works really well. But what I've realised is that to teach children online, I need to teach small classes. So I've mainly been teaching households, so siblings, up to 3 siblings, and that works really, really well. But so, for example, on a Zoom class with lots of different children, it doesn't work so well because children need a lot of care. And you really need to sort of be connecting with them. And the Zoom class, you have to meet them. So it doesn't quite work for me. But one-to-one, up to 3 children in a class online has been working really, really well. And I've got a great deal for that. I've got a 5-class bundle. They get a class for free. But yeah, that's been working great.
How much would, I mean, because I can see that really working. And it sounds to me like, you know, I've got 3 kids. Ranging from 9 down to 2, so the 9 and the 5-year-old would engage with you, and Absolutely. The 2-year-old would be peripheral and probably would start copying and get into the spirit of it. And then, of course, the adults can lurk in the background out of camera shot if they're a bit shy and not very confident to be on camera. They could also be practicing, couldn't they? So you are doing a family unit. Perfect. Okay. So how much?
So that happens with one of the families I teach in the UK. So there are 2 siblings, and the mum sometimes comes in and comes out, which is really nice. We're all there, sort of, playing around together. It's great. We're practicing yoga, not playing, and also playing. It's really nice. Of course.
Sounds like fun. And you were going to say you have a good deal for that. How much does it cost, for example, for that sort of setup?
It's just here. I'm going to forget.
While you're doing that, I will read out a few more comments. I bet kids love cat, cow, and downward dog. Pete saying learning deep breathing techniques will really help all of them coping with stress. More than enough of that to go around. Absolutely, Pete. And Gary saying if we're going to be doing animals, I think I'd have to be a slug. Well, I imagine Jacinta would encourage you to start there and gradually change from the slug posture. Sleeping slug. I don't think that is a recognized yoga position, but Gary may well have invented it this morning. Absolutely, Peter. Mindfulness too, says Hank. So yeah, mindfulness, of course, all the rage, which is a strange choice of word, isn't it? But it comes into yoga as well, doesn't it? The mental, meditative benefits, right?
Yeah, I teach children mindfulness a lot. And mindfulness is amazing because it has been scientifically proven to improve anxiety and depression, and it's incredible watching children do mindfulness exercises. I've taught so many different types of children, and they've all got different needs. But for example, a child can be bouncing around the room with really little concentration or really not present, and you get them to do a few mindfulness exercises, and they're centered. Because they really have to focus. There are things like finger tapping or figure of 8s with their different body parts, and they've got to focus so much. So yeah, and yeah, as I said, it's been scientifically proven. And if you're not necessarily spiritual, this has been recommended by doctors as well because of the scientific element. Yeah, it's a fabulous way to really focus the mind and get really present. I love it.
Yeah, I can tell, and I think you're absolutely right because we teach kids the times table, don't we, and other things that understandably people say, well, I've never used that in my life. I mean, times tables, yes. Algebra, maybe not, unless you're a rocket scientist or whatever. But if we taught them, can you imagine what, and I'm sure you have, what the world would be like if they knew mindfulness as well as they knew their times tables?
Exactly.
It'd be an entirely different world, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, and I really hope that I think things are going that way. Is I think someone on the show mentioned earlier that private schools are using yoga for exam stress. I think, and eventually what my vision is for Little Brights is to turn it into a charity. I want all children and all people to benefit from these practices, really. But as you say, the children of today are the adults of tomorrow, and if we can teach them these things, then wow, isn't that incredible?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree. Say Meryl and John Smith, definitely agree to about mindfulness to help with anxiety and depression, recommended by my consultant following a brain injury. Wow. Also, some schools in UK use mindfulness. As you're saying there, Jacinta, it's coming into our culture, isn't it? And long overdue, but there we are. That's where we are, and long may it develop and continue. Yep, mindfulness, says Hank. Deep breathing, meditation, even something of a skeptic like me can get behind. Good on you, Jacinta. So it works on skeptics as well. Solid science behind all those things, says Hank. And I hear from a few references to science. You're quite keen to connect it into the scientific community or consciousness there, Jacinta.
I think it's important because coming from the background of coming from Glastonbury, I understand, people with deep spirituality, and I have a deep spirituality myself, but I think it's important to know the science behind it as well. I don't know, I like to know the science behind things as well as just feeling it and knowing in my heart that I believe it. And I think when we understand the science behind things like meditation, I think we can get a broader spectrum of people on board.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, good. That's really very interesting, and I think you're absolutely right with that. Pete's asking Diane. I don't think Diane does want to know. I think it's you that wants to know the answer to this, Pete, and you're just pretending Diane wants to know what coloured leggings I wore in Yorkshire. And I don't know whether it's the colour or the fact that it was Yorkshire. I actually can't remember. It's a bit like the 60s. If you can remember it, you weren't there. Penny says, it keeps my poor old joints stay relatively supple and my balance good. And of course, that is a really big issue, isn't it? We do see this, don't we? With older, I'm not saying Penny, of course, but, as people get much older, they become quite timid, don't they, with their movements? And do you think, just anecdotally, this isn't scientific, but I just, in my mind, my grandmother, from the Far East, and she used to do Tai Chi. And I just have this sense that a lot of Far Eastern people, or anywhere in the world where people practice Tai Chi or yoga or do something to get themselves in their body on a daily basis, are a little less timid, are a little more supple and flexible. And they don't go into that really sort of pitiful thing of when people get old, they get very afraid, don't they? Because they think they're going to fall over or break something. So, do you see this as well? That it does help an aging culture stay supple and flexible.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point you made. Absolutely, and my thought behind that is, I think it's exactly. I'll reiterate what you said. Really, it's yoga gets you into your body. It's about embodiment and grounding. So when you feel earth and connected and with yourself as well, you're going to feel more empowered. You're going to have more strength from within and without, really, physically. So yeah, all of these things, definitely.
And sorry, go on. You were going to say something else.
I think when you're in your body more, you're always going to feel braver, happier, safer. All of these things, all of the advantages of being present and
yeah. And the elder wisdom. That would come, wouldn't it, from somebody who is grounded and connected rather than someone who's very afraid. And I find it very sad that people become more afraid as they get older. But here's a solution. Here's a solution to that. Fiona's asking, Jacinta was getting, before we went to me interrupting you again and lots of comments, you were going to tell us how much it all costs, please, Jacinta?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for private tuition, which at the moment is only online. For one child, it's €14, but for two children, it's 24. But if they get a 5-class deal, they'll have one class for free. So each class would work out €9.60 for one child or €15-20 for two children, which I think is a really good deal.
Yep, agreed. And does that stand them in good stead and get them into a habit? What sort of how long do you think before that embodiment takes place? I mean, and kids learn a lot quicker, don't they? So would they be in good stead for sort of self-directed learning after that, or should they stay with you for a few months?
I mean, I've seen some children, in fact, all children that I've taught, I've seen them take to yoga straight away. But with anything, some children want to do it, some children don't. It just entirely depends on the child, really, and what they need. I think every child needs different things. But I have seen children benefit more when I'm able to teach them weekly. And they learn things, and they want to come back, and they want to practice things. And some children practice it in between our week apart, and they're doing it before I've even sort of prompted them, which is really gorgeous. So I think it depends on the child, but I think keeping anything is a really great thing. They're only going to improve, and remember things better. And I think the great thing is, when children learn yoga as a child, they're going to remember it as an adult. I think anything you learn as a child, you're more likely to go back to it as an adult.
Yes, so true. Yeah, and we need the educationalists, the politicians, the medical people to hear this and implement it. And of course, it's great for people who can afford it, but wouldn't it be lovely if it was part of the school curriculum? So that it isn't just the people who can afford it who can do it. It's I think it would be great to keep lobbying to have this happen for everybody, and not just the private schools, as were mentioned earlier on. I don't mean to sound sort of bitter or political about that, but wouldn't it be great to have it for everybody and bring it right into the curriculum, bring it into the cultural level, so that we are teaching that sort of self-sustaining flexibility of body and mind. This is not going to go away, I'm afraid, Jacinta. We all want to know about the leggings. Hank says lavender leggings for Carl is my wager. No, that was my essential oil of choice rather than the colour of my leggings. I'm going to leave that mystery there. Also, Pilates, different but helps with all sorts. Same. Gary is saying he'd love to try Tai Chi. I think maybe fellas are attracted to Tai Chi possibly because of the sort of martial arts connection there, maybe. But perhaps there is a martial arts extension of yoga. I don't know. East London Kiwi. My wife and I started practicing basic yoga during lockdown to help us manage the stress build-up while our consultancy business slowed down to nothing during these challenging times, says East London Kiwi. Yeah, so one of the silver linings, I guess, of the lockdown. Are you seeing that, Jacinta? Because people have got more time on their hands. Is yoga experiencing a bit of a boom?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, just for myself, as someone that practices yoga, I probably did it more because I was at home more. And when I was living in England, it didn't take me an hour to get into Bath every day, and it was cheaper, it was more accessible. So yeah, I definitely practiced it more. And yeah, it helps you feel, it helps you feel better. And I think being locked in your homes is quite challenging. So
absolutely. Okay, so many good reasons to get involved. Good value, says Fiona. Very good value, says Pete. Pete knows a thing or two about teaching. So I don't know, Pete might be encouraging you to put your prices up there. East London Kiwi, good on you, says Hank. We all need coping strategies to get us through this. Exercise and mindfulness have worked wonders for us as well. Antonio F, bon dia para todos. Mark Jones, hi hosts. I can see the benefits in doing yoga despite having never done it. That is really interesting, isn't it? There's almost an intuitive appreciation, except that it's for some water yoga breathing exercises, which were amazing and very beneficial. Oh, water yoga, that's an interesting hybrid. Yes, all of this should be available for our children in schools. Tai Chi. I'm up for that. I like Qigong. So a general sort of appreciation, I think, for these modalities that help on all levels, I think, is this sort of universal message there. I miss the social aspect of going to classes, but Zoom yoga has been great during lockdowns, says Penny. So she's continued. It's been amazing talking to you this morning, Jacinta. Just a final word. First of all, on Portugal, presumably you'd recommend people, because this is all about being in Portugal, of course. Good morning, Portugal, expats, Portugal. You'd recommend a lifestyle in Portugal, and especially the Algarve?
1000%. I've never looked back. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, very simple, straightforward answer. And then what parting thoughts, words as we go into a weekend here, which we'll talk about in just a moment when we've said goodbye to you. But what else did you want to say that we haven't covered here? You know, or what have I missed that might be useful to share with people about yoga, specifically yoga for kids?
I think it's a difficult time because we're in quite a deep lockdown, and I think what I offer from my classes is that I can relieve families. I can help families. So the classes are about 40 minutes long, and hopefully when I hand your children back to you, they're going to be feeling happier, more grounded, calmer. I think that might be the parting message, that I want to help mothers and fathers out there with their children, and I'm here to help.
That is so lovely. So you can sign up, can you not, at littlebrights.co.uk? That's the best way of reaching out to you? Yeah,
send me an email. All of my contact information's there. We can talk on the phone, because every child is different and families are going to need different things. And yeah, I'm here. I'm in my home, and I've got some space. So yeah, absolutely.
Quite right. So we should also talk about this, the Good Morning Portugal yoga class as well, because I think a few people were up for that. A final word as well from Hank Stelica. Yoga classes on the beach would be amazing. We have that to look forward to one day as well. Maybe a residential down in Lagos there under moonlight. He's raising the stakes constantly, but that's also sounds lovely there. Jacinta, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's very nice to meet you. Thanks, Carl.
Ciao, ciao. Have a great weekend. It's wonderful talking to, sorry, I pressed the button a little bit early there while she was waving at me. I do beg your pardon, Jacinta. But we must talk to Jacinta, must we not, about starting a Good Morning Portugal class. So I wanted to just carry on with a few of the things that came up yesterday. I had quite a challenged show yesterday with one thing and another, and the technology, and a couple of things were missed. Not least the idea of this people flocking to the interior of Portugal during the pandemic, which turns out it was a little bit of a bit hypey from the Portugal resident. But we will have a look at that in a moment. And look, everyone's buying a tractor, if you believe that picture. But sorry, I'll show you the picture in just a minute. Hold on a minute. We're just adding to Hank's picture here of the yoga class in Lagos with Jacinta. A bit cold for that now on the beach under the moonlight, but Hank's going on with it. Waves crashing in. So let's start at the beginning here. Yoga classes. Can you imagine yoga classes on the beach? They'd be amazing in the Algarve in Lagos under the moonlight. Waves crashing in the background. And at this point, of course, you have to have people running in slow motion towards each other, don't you, for a hug. Joel saying, time for me to do a bit of free advertising. Lol. Porto. Yes, go on, here we go. The unofficial ambassador of Porto will now address you. Porto is a great winter place for those who want to reminisce about the British weather. If you're Joel, you picked the wrong moment, mate. As I was talking to Jacinta there, with thunder outside the window and it's peeing down across the grapevines outside. I don't have to come to Porto to be reminded of British weather. Pick your moment wisely. Maybe in summer when we're vaccinated. Very wise, very wise. Hank Stalica, in summer would be fine, but not right now, unless you're Finnish, Swedish, you're British, absolutely. Safaro, the weather may be a hard sell with English weather comparisons. And thank you, Hank. You guys are awesome. All right, so let's have a look then. Excuse me, getting a bit too excited. Calm down and breathe. Bit of a mindfulness exercise. Should we start with a mindfulness exercise in the morning, folks? I wonder. Oh, angry face. I'm always drawn to an angry face in the do you know what? I think if everyone was a bit younger and more millennial here, we'd have loads more emojis. So can you get a little bit of exercise, everybody, and fire up all your emojis onto the screen now? Let's see those. And I'm drawn towards the Doc has put an angry emoji. What's that all about, Doc? Is that because your finger went to the wrong place, or is that about schools closing? Tell us more, sir. And a simple from Hank there. But if you want to start with a mindfulness session in the mornings, I'm up for it. I've put 1 or 2 meditation segments up on Insight Timer. An amazing resource, I have to say. I'm one of the teachers on Insight Timer. A slightly unusual approach to meditation, as you might expect, but there are all the best of the world's yoga teachers and I imagine that they've missed some, but most of the most known and best respected yoga teachers are on Insight Timer. Loads of free mindfulness and meditation exercises there if you want to get into it. insighttimer.com. Okay, I did mention as well, of course, this is what occurred to me. A couple of things were on my mind this morning. One, I wanted to tell you how much I practiced for this show. Mrs. M told me this morning, you were talking in your sleep. Now, when your partner says you were talking in your sleep, there can be a little bit of an awkward moment, can't there, where you think, do you want a cup of tea? And you go and change the subject. Or you are brave enough to say, oh, really? What was I saying? And the reason I'm mentioning it is because she said in my sleep last night, I said, thank you all very much for coming. I practiced this show in my sleep, folks. So that was one thing I wanted to tell you. And have you got an interesting story about talking in your sleep, which might have resulted in you being single at the moment? I don't know, but do tell. And the other thing, this thing about weekends, Friday on this show, on the Good Morning Portugal show, is the Bom Fim, sexta-feira. I didn't do the date. 22 Janeiro 2021. A sexta-feira, the only day with sex in it, as I like to say in a childish way. But sexta-feira, bom fim de semana, we would say, right? Bom fim de semana. And what is different now in this new normal, if I may call it that, in these unprecedented times, if I may say that hackneyed and well-worn cliche? Tell me what, if anything, you still look forward to from a weekend. Is it your Sunday bath? Is it, for us, going to the market on Saturday morning, which can only be one of us now, of course, if there is indeed a market tomorrow. But what is left in your life that differentiates the days of the week, as we used to know them and call them, and the weekend? Okay, so tell me that. And I would like to share with you this story about hundreds allegedly flocking to central Portugal. Hold on a minute. What's that? Is that Antonio F saying that yoga might be good for one's virility as well? I've had enough for the time being of virility advertising on my show, as some of you may have noticed earlier this week. Does she hear the secrets that you keep? Possibly, Hank. She might not have told me everything that she heard. Tai Chi with a nice cup of chai tea. How's that sound? That sounds great. Probably even better in a Brummie accent, Gary. Tai Chi with a nice cup of chai tea. That's a winner, is it not? I haven't put an angry face. He's angry now. Perhaps the owner on my account angry that I didn't call her before coming onto the stream. Cause trouble on live streams by pretending to be your partner and putting inappropriate emojis and emoticons. That's a good game, isn't it? That's something to look forward to the weekend. Only if you talk in your sleep, says you. I don't know what that's referring to, but come on. I design jewelry in my dream. Oh, steady now. People are actually discussing what they do in their dreams. Easy. Remember, it is only 9:45 in some parts of the world and people are having their breakfast. I design jewelry in my dreams and apparently I sing. Oh, Penny, that's so beautiful. The Sunday paper. Yes, there is a tradition that some might still look forward to. Hey, Thane, really enjoying your postings on. You're great. There are some people, aren't there, on Facebook who you think, oh, great, look, they've posted something. I bet that's fun. And Thane is one of those for me. And all of these lovely Bernie Sanders memes are going around at the moment are hilarious. And Thane's great for those. And obviously there are people on Facebook who think, oh, what are they saying now? But Thane is not one of those. Crosswords is another thing. So there's a weekend crossword. So, okay, it seems that there are still some things that differentiate the weekend from the week. Good to know. Keep them coming. The weeks seem to be speeding. It's true, isn't it? This like Feelgood Friday. It seems like it was only yesterday that we were talking before. Feelgood Friday with Jenny last week, talking about being grateful. Incredible. And actually, I did see this is from Facebook of the idea that time might be speeding up, and there is maybe some scientific backing for that. So no wonder it feels like it was only Friday yesterday. Maybe it was in old time. The weeks seem to be speeding by, just one weekend after the next. Yeah, thinking a few days have just been retired, repeated or something, says Fiona. Sorry, can't, but we get the sense of that for sure. Another thing that people look forward to, Shelley here, looking forward to the weekend chats with the kids. That's lovely. So it is nice to have these sort of weekly milestones, isn't it? Or the suspension post of the suspension bridge of our week, if I can turn it into that sort of metaphor. Die dreams that I snore. That's like the movie Inception suddenly, isn't it? That somebody is dreaming about their partner snoring in their sleep. I mean, it's obviously bothering her, Pete. You need to get that looked at. Eating half regueifa. I wonder what that is. And is it a Portuguese tradition that we need? I think it is a Portuguese tradition and we need to know more about. Eating half a regueifa. What is that, Joel? I constantly forget what day it is now, says Joseph. Good morning, Joseph. In fun now. Just like to remember Monday for the big, markets. Okay, like me, we have the market fixture, don't we, in Portugal to look forward to? Excuse me. And Monday is market day in Fundão. So the weekend means that it's nearly market day in Fundão on the Monday. Luckily, where I live in Queensland, says Mark, we have had almost no lockdowns at all. So we have had a dream run so far. Fingers crossed for everyone else. And let's hope that by next year, this problem is in the past. Absolutely, Mark. And so great to hear that Queensland has done so well in this time. My wife and I make blanket forts and watch crappy movies and eat popcorn on the week. Oh, Hank, that sounds so lovely. That's something we could all be inspired by. That's a really nice way of staying young, isn't it? Make a blanket fort. I nearly read that as a blanket fart. Sorry to say that, but I couldn't not say that. If you read that as my wife and I make blanket farts and watch crappy movies and eat popcorn on the weekend, that is another suggestion for you. Because I know some people like to do that as well. That's cool, says Joel. You are not allowed out of your municipality at the weekend. Now, thank you for that reminder, Corey. So is that what you look forward to at the weekend, is staying in your municipality? Probably not. But yes, a nice reminder there. Thank you, Corey. Someone being sensible for a moment. The last 4 years were the longest decade of my life. Says Hank in California. Linda will tell you about the time I shouted out very loudly in my sleep. How's about this then? And made a large buzzing bee noise. What made it worse is that we were on a campsite. See, I know Gary, and I can imagine him doing that. How's about this then? I'm crying with laughter. Thank you, everybody. Navendu, morning. Has anyone come across Nostradamus Prediction? No, let's not go there right now. We're having fun. I'm sure Nostradamus's prediction for 2021 can be spun to make it look like what is happening now. He said was going to happen. He's got an uncanny knack, as have the interpreters of Nostradamus. But I don't even want to go there, Navendu. But thank you for making that point. Maybe not. Maybe Navendu consults the books of Nostradamus at the weekend. There's another activity that sums it up well. Says Hank. At the last 4 years, that is Fiona. I swear, the gardening group only got started a day or two ago. Lost midweek entirely. I'm grateful for not needing to fixate on the. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Another upside that we don't have to worry about what day it is. It's today. That's all we need to know. It's now and it's today. Going back to the yoga, the spirituality, the mindfulness, it is now. We can safely assume that. Oh, can we trust crypto in today's age? Great question. And I put an appeal out to everyone in the. I've got a little bit of Bitcoin, and suddenly I've got more friends now, haven't I? Because of what people have heard about a Bitcoin. Now I'm rich and wealthy. Don't get excited, everybody. It's a couple of £100. When I last looked, which was 6 months ago, so it might be 400 quid by now. But we do need to have someone to come on to tell us about crypto, because I have been talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for 2 years. And at the beginning of that, people were like, no, whatever. Is this your new MLM scheme, Carl? But no, there is a sudden credibility, is there not, in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin? Anyone an authority here, or no one who'd come and talk to us about it? We need to know. Thank you for that. Great question, Navendu. Dutch ovens, Carl. Going back to blanket forts. Mimosas, buck fizz. Oh, nice one, weave the story. So there is a weekend, a bon fin de semana tradition, mimosas and bucks fizz. Is that on a Saturday morning to get the weekend party going? My pal Gordon Lightfoot on Talking in Your Sleep. Actually, your pal, if you could read my mind, love. What a wonderful. I tell you what, when I first came to Portugal in 2007, that I was playing that as I drove through central Portugal If You Could Read My Mind. It was part of the playlist. Forgot about that. Thank you for that reminder. Is he your actual pal? Gord's Gold, because he, I think, was from the West Country in the UK, and his album was called Gord's Gold. Because if you're from the West Country and you're called Gordon, that gets shortened to Gord. Amazing. So there is a link to look up about talking in your sleep. And there have been a number of songs, haven't there? You've been talking in your sleep. You've been talking in your sleep. Yeah, that was a really creepy song. Both my college roommates and my parents say that I spoke a foreign tongue and walked in my sleep. Doreen Rays, I still have premonition dreams and dreams within dreams, like in Inception. Wow. Yeah, so not, says Corey. I thought so, Corey. Yeah, it's grim, isn't it? And we got to find great things to do within the municipality, not just within the municipality. After 1 o'clock, great things to do at home. I can't read that, Ruth, not because it's inappropriate, but then again, I wouldn't know if it was inappropriate or not because I can't read German. Can read French, says Navendu. Understanding Portuguese is difficult. And more German from Ruth. I'm so sorry, Ruth. I don't know what's happening there. Nostradamus predicted, he was spot on, it turns out. He did predict blanket farts while doing yoga in bed and gardening to grow popcorn while drinking Portuguese wine in the English rain. Hank, that is uncanny. You would think, wouldn't, that we planned to say that me and Hank had hatched a plan or a plot to reveal that Nostradamus prophecy and mess with your mind. But look, there it is in black and white. That is incredible. And how on trend are we as a group here? This week I've seen an ape boarding a White House blue plane that has the captain. I wonder if they put enough fuel for... Oh, all right, Joel, he's gone now. People are still bitter though, aren't they? Nostradamus predicted that, suggests Joel. Who, me, responsible? Especially not at the weekends, maybe, Corey. Doesn't crypto make Superman sick? Yes, no. Oh, damn. Karaoke on Good All right, Hank. I thought I'd treat you. I won't sing anymore then, says Carl, in brackets, slightly hurt. I produced what? Hold the front page. Shut the front door. I produced his box set songbook. He really is a pal of Thane Tierney, everybody. Unbelievable. I feel like singing If You Could Read My Mind, Love, again, but I won't after what Hank said. I'm still working from home. So my week is still structured. Okay, yeah. So those working from home. But then again, that's the problem with working from home. Do you think, okay, I'll just do a couple of hours on Saturday? Mrs. M does this. I've got a couple of hours extra work to do. Disappears into the office mid-afternoon. Oh, hello. I remember you. Ah, yes, my wife. And that's a difficulty. So do you use the weekend to punctuate your workload? I still love my weekends just to chill, no work, just bumbling about in the house. Yes, bumbling, pottering, I call it. I love pottering. Oh, Thane, stop it. He produced Gordon Lightfoot's complete greatest hits. Just showing off now, Thane. But I take my hat off to you. That's amazing. Please, if you haven't heard If You Could Read My Mind by Gordon Lightfoot, treat yourself after the show. Weekend should be French press coffee. Oh, here we go from Navendu. This sounds lovely. Weekend should be French press coffee with hot croissant and finish with a huge English breakfast. I'm up for that. I had one last night. I don't know if you were here earlier on. Drank some of that boxed wine last night, the Sopiash. And talk of pairings, I was moved to go to my kitchen and knock up as close to a full English as I could find with the ingredients I had to hand. So I did have bacon and egg, baked beans on toast with some mushrooms, with some sautéed mushrooms, and a cup of British tea about 11:30 last night. It was great. So back to the angry. We can all see it, Doc. It says Facebook angry Andrew Paul Thompson. No, she wasn't on my account. So who hacked me? The inquiry begins here, everybody. Who put that angry emoji on the good vibes of the Good Morning Portugal? I think it was a slip of the finger. Check your Facebook personal messages. Reguefa sent. That's not going to get me a Facebook ban, is it, Joel? We'll have a look and we'll talk about that on the Man Cave tonight. That's a nice thing to take forward to the Man Cave. Join us for the Man Cave this evening. And Delish there. Oh, sorry, let me finish that sentence. Reguefa, that we'll bring that up. Hopefully not literally on the depending on what it is on the Man Cave tonight from 10 o'clock on these same platforms. Join us. Delish says Corey Dyspraxis. Is that about my full English? Is that about full press? Is that a thing? That's a mixture of basketball and French coffee in it. A full court press French coffee. Navendu. Any good recommendations for listening to jazz music? Sounds good for the weekend during lockdown. I love jazz. I listen to Jazz FM from the UK. I recommend that. I mean, there's a lot of soul and funk mixed in with their programming, but there's a great question. Any good recommendations for listening to jazz? Go to our Portugal playlist group. Let's talk about music in there. And both, says Corey, to coffee and to full Englishes. Sounds great. The regueifa is like a large French bread baguette. Here we go. You see, whenever you say something, so you would talk about a samosa, or you might talk about a custard tart. The Chinese copied the Portuguese. With the samosa, I think the Indians copied the Portuguese. And now look, Subway and Nando's, all the best ideas, supposedly, in catering have all been stolen from Portugal or influenced by Portugal. It's amazing. And here we go. There's another one. The regueifa is a sub in American, the large French bread baguette. I mean, goodness only knows what it's filled with here in Portugal. Possibly ham, cheese, and custard, and cinnamon on top, of course. Wow, very quickly then, this story, it seems a bit weird to finish with this, but it was just left over from yesterday. It's a great advert for the, and talking of adverts, I have to be very careful. Oh my God, what's that about there? The things that come up on the ads on the Portugal Resident. Have a word with Google Portugal Resident, but I want to read the story here. Hundreds flock to Portugal's interior amid pandemic. Turns out that's literally just a couple of hundred of applications out of a population of 10 million. Portugal's program to attract people to live in the country's interior has received hundreds of applications. The government scheme, Employment Interior, MAIS, which grants support of up to 4,827 euros. That's a funny number, isn't it? Why don't they just round that up to 5,000? Or 10,000 for that matter. It's only money, as we found out from our economist, and we need helicopter money. So let's make that 10 grand. Come on, Portuguese government. This is a grant to workers who want to move to Portugal's interior. That scheme received 207 applications by the end of December, corresponding to 740 people, the government revealed on Friday. And this was a news article from nearly a week ago now, but still, I think it's very interesting. The Portuguese has so far approved 77 applications, meaning 222 people have already moved to Portugal's interior territories and have benefited from this state support, according to a report released by the government. I don't know what that advert is. I don't want to know why there's a body bag advert on my screen there. I promise you, I haven't said, Alexa, find me information about body bags. And sorry now if I say, Alexa, find me information about body bags, and that's stimulated your Alexa to do the same. And now you'll have a search history with that. Anyway, already moved to Portugal's interior territories and have benefited from this state support, according to a report released by the government. Almost half of the candidates approved of young people. Yay! The return of young people to the Portuguese interior, aged up to 34 years old, 45% of the total, and almost 2/3 have higher education qualifications, according to the government data. So this is really important, I think, to repopulate, regenerate. To me, the heart, the best bits of Portugal, basically. The direct financial support to be granted to those who moved inland will be 2,633 euros. Again, a weird amount. Does that include EVA? Please give your NIF number, to which is added a 20% increase for each number of the household, up to a limit of, this is the long grass of the conditions, isn't it? And I bet there are a lot of conditions and small print with this. But anyway, the cost of transporting goods will be reimbursed within a limit of 878 euros, the government stated. The program is run by Portugal's Institute of Employment and Vocational Training and includes unemployed workers or employees looking for a new job who move to rural areas. I love this. The plan is aimed at combating the abandonment of Portugal's interior north to south as the population has dwindled due to declining births and people emigrating. How wonderful is that? It's a beautiful, positive note to wish you, a very happy weekend, a bon fin de semana. Whether you're making a blanket fort, I did say fort, whether you're having a full English after a lovely French coffee, whatever it is you're doing this weekend, will you please have a good one and join us tonight on the Man Cave, and we'll be back again on Monday with the Good Morning Portugal show. Hold on, this just in. Let's have a look. I'll have to reserve that for the Man Cave and its possibilities. Yes, so we'll talk more about regueifas tonight. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Jazz sounds great right now. Totally down with that, says Thane. So please join the Portugal playlist and let's have a jazz. Let us jazzers have a conversation in there. Where can you listen to UK radio in Portugal? Radio Garden is one app. most radio stations have an app that you can listen to, unless, of course, they're blocking you on your IP address, but there are ways around that. I understand that Porto and Lisboa have jazz stations. Are they any good? Don't know, but I suspect they are. I mean, as long as it's not all trad jazz driving you nuts, to me, I like a little bit, I want to hear Coltrane, and I want to hear Pharoah Sanders, and, I want to hear some deep and crazy jazz that really sends people to their limits, exploring the genre, but also the classics. Take Five, one of the few non-four on the floor pop hits and an instrumental to boot, Take Five by Dave Brubeck. When people say they don't like jazz, they haven't really thought about it. I understand that Porto and Lisbon have jazz stations. Are they any good? We'll find out, Carolyn. We'll do our research on that. I'm sure some will here. Good morning. Very late today. No schools. Sleepy morning. Of course. It means a lie-in for parents. There is that upside. Wendy, while the kids are destroying the house and making their own breakfast. Wendy Van Herden. Bon dia to you, Wendy. Corey, can you please put up a link for those grants? Yes, I can. I have that actual grant. Can you please say, when you go to the IEFP online, that you heard about it from Expats Portugal, because Carl Munson of Expats Portugal thoroughly supports this initiative for what it's worth. But I really do. I think it's so important that Portugal get behind this and just polish the treasure, the dusty treasure that is central Portugal. It is beautiful there, and it is a shame that there's a brain drain, that people have moved away, and it's down to these wonderful 70 and 80-year-olds who you see bent double in their front gardens picking cabbage, who are just keeping the little embers alive in central Portugal in these quiet villages. They are the most beautiful places to live. We've got internet, we've got broadband. We can live and work in these wonderful places. Let's do it, folks. Come on. Navendu, do we have a good chiropractor in Portugal? I need to fix my body. We've got loads of good chiropractors. Please go put that question in the Expats Portugal forum, please, Navendu. expatsportugal.com /community. That is our forum. Pop that question in there. You will get answers. Wishing you a great weekend from Navendo as well. Corey, have a nice weekend. Hank, bye everyone. Have a fantastic weekend. Be safe. Stay healthy. Don't die. That's very frank and actually quite right. Ronnie Scott's still streaming live jazz music, says Penny. Oh, Penny, you dark horse, with you knowing about Ronnie Scott's streaming live jazz. Fantastic. By Hank, from us all, especially Antonio F there. There's that link for the Expats Portugal link to the it's not system, scheme, that scheme over there to repopulate and re-economize, is that the right word? Central Portugal. Jazz, here we go, with good cognac and a cigar in a wooden floored room and leather sofas. November, I'm there with you virtually at the moment, but let's set that up. Let's have that jazz club in Coimbra. Today's the bride's birthday. Great way to start the week. Oh, parabéns. I won't sing it after my earlier criticism, but parabéns, je say, to the bride. Fantastic. And I'm sorry, a Portuguese question. I think that is maybe... Oh, that's a bit of spam, possibly. Be careful, folks, responding to an email address that is financial of bank. That looks a little bit of a scam to me. Thank you, Kemi. After all, later, that is, altar all. Maybe as a religious reference. Don't forget to visit the altar, of course, this weekend from Joel. I think not. That is not what he's saying. Bon fin semana, folks. Have a good one. Thank you for being amazing this morning. Lovely show. Really enjoyable. Thank you for making me laugh. And we'll see you in the man cave if that's your